Salesforce is acquiring Slack in a $27.7 billion deal. But what does this mean for the future of collaboration? Stick around. Hey everyone, welcome back to Today in Tech. I'm Julia Beauchamp and I'm here with Computer World senior writer Matthew Finnegan. It seems especially important and pertinent that Salesforce is acquiring Slack at a time where remote work and reliance on collaboration tools is extraordinarily high. So, Matthew, could you walk us through Salesforce's decision and Slack's decision to take part in this acquisition and why it's especially important that it's happening right now?
Yeah, so it's a huge acquisition that was announced this week, $27.7 billion. So it's one of the largest, I think it's the second largest software company acquisition ever, and the biggest acquisition for Salesforce, which has been a fairly acquisitive firm in recent years. So this is a deal that's happening during a pandemic when there's been a lot of interest in remote work tools, and Slack has in recent years been at the forefront in terms of digital platforms to connect workers, whether they're in the same office or working remotely. So interestingly, though, Slack has arguably hasn't seen the level of growth of adoption as some of the other collaboration and communication and cloud productivity tools in the months since March. If you compare it with, for example, Zoom, which has seen huge growth in terms of adoption, in terms of revenues and share price. Slack has, while grown, it hasn't grown to the same degree as even other providers like its main rival, Microsoft, with its Teams platform. So Salesforce has been interested in this area for some time. It's had its Chatter enterprise social network application, for example, and it's been one of the companies which have been looking to acquire Slack for some time. So Slack, on the other hand, has faced really strong competition from Microsoft Teams since it launched in 2017, and its growth hasn't really been what people were hoping for during the pandemic, which is the time when it's really obviously shown the need for these sort of tools to connect workers, to connect data across organizations, no matter where people are working. And this is Salesforce obviously sees that this is a trend that will be carrying on long term, even after people start to go back to the office, that remote working in some form is here to stay.
So this deal has been described as sort of mutually beneficial between the heads of Salesforce and Slack. Rather, this deal has been described as mutually beneficial by the heads of Salesforce and Slack, both of them. So I'm wondering how this deal makes both Salesforce and Slack more appealing to enterprise customers that perhaps aren't using either or both of those tools yet. What do you think?
Yeah, so it's generally been perceived as a positive deal for both companies. For Slack, this means that it gets a huge exit deal, and as well as the ability to grow its customer base in the face of strong competition from Microsoft Teams under the ownership of another really large software company in Salesforce. So from Salesforce's perspective, this means they can tap into what's been a kind of a phenomenon within the team collaboration market, a hugely popular application. The aim has been to replace email, and it's grown to 12 million daily active users since its last statistics were announced at the end of last year. And the acquisition means that Salesforce can use Slack to kind of move into more targeting the employee experience area. Obviously, Salesforce's main focus has been around CRM, so catering to sales and marketing and customer service staff. But the Slack deal really helps it focus on improving its employee engagement portfolio. It's already also acquired a company called Quip 3 or 4 years ago for around $750 million, which is a kind of a sort of collaborative productivity tool. So it's an area of focus for Salesforce for some time, and the idea is that it will be integrated into that Slack will be used as an interface for the Salesforce Customer 360 portfolio over time. So yeah, there's been some critics that said that the deal is overpriced and that maybe it doesn't go far enough in terms of competing with Microsoft as a productivity and collaboration suite. But generally, there's a lot of potential. Salesforce is able to tap into a new stream of revenue growth through Slack, even though Slack hasn't grown maybe to the degree of Zoom during the pandemic. It's also a growing business, and Salesforce sees plenty of opportunity to roll out Slack to access larger Slack deployments, using or to distribute Slack more widely using its existing base of enterprise customers. So yeah, both companies see there's significant positives on this.
I think too, whenever an acquisition happens, especially when, a behemoth company like Salesforce is acquiring Slack, which is also, huge, but by Salesforce standards, certainly not quite as large, I think the immediate reaction can be, how, if at all, is that smaller company, Slack in this case, going to change? And do you perceive, or have you heard, or have there been any sort of caveats to the deal that would make it seem as though Slack is going to change in any sort of big way, whether it's on the user experience side or I guess perhaps the way that it is utilized?
Yeah, so to a degree, it's kind of wait and see. The indications from Salesforce certainly are that they plans for Slack to continue as an independent application with its own branding and so forth, although it will be integrated, of course, into the Customer 360 suite. So it's fair to say that we're going to see strong first-party integrations between Slack and Salesforce's tools, which remains to be seen exactly how that will pan out. But for example, there's potential around Quip being tightly integrated into Slack, for example. There have been integrations between Slack and various Salesforce tools for some time, but of course there's going to be that will be built on a lot over the next while, of course. So there are question marks about in the long term, to what degree will Slack become embedded into Salesforce? To what degree will it remain a standalone application? For example, Quip, its productivity app, has begun to be integrated more tightly into some of Salesforce's apps. So we'll have to see over time, but definitely the indications are that Salesforce won't want to do anything too drastic with Slack in the short term. And Slack's a popular platform. It's accessible and people like the interface, and that's one of the real strong points of Slack compared to Microsoft Teams. Really, is the interface. Is that it has Slack has a lot of users who are passionate about the application, who like using it. So it would seem unlikely that Salesforce would want to mess around with that too much straight away. But yeah, there will be more integrations for sure.
Absolutely. So we've discussed a little bit about how this Slack and Salesforce partnership, by acquisition, of course, can perhaps make Salesforce and Slack sort of level up and compete more, head to head with Microsoft. But I'm wondering what this sort of means for the future of collaboration tools in general and collaboration apps when, like I've just said, a behemoth company like Salesforce acquires Slack, which is still large in its own right. I mean, it was recently publicly traded. So it's not like it's any sort of, small indie company. That being said, I'm wondering what it means for any sort of smaller startups, and how any sort of smaller startups may be able to enter the collaboration space and compete with now Microsoft and Salesforce.
So what this acquisition shows is kind of how difficult it can be for innovative startups in the collaboration and productivity space when in terms of their long-term prospects competing with the large tech companies like Microsoft, of course. So with Slack, after its huge initial growth as one of the fastest growing enterprise business applications in history, it's faced really severe competition from Microsoft, which was able to create its own tool, build it out really quickly, and bundle it with its Office 365 suite of applications. So this does raise questions for some of the other up-and-coming cloud productivity and cloud collaboration and communication apps, such as Airtable and Coda and Notion, which are really gaining traction as well. But it does a big question of how far can these companies go without requiring the support of a larger organization like Salesforce or Microsoft, for example.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Matthew. I really appreciate your insight. And as much as some of this deal and the implications of this deal are going to be a little bit of a wait and see situation, it's still interesting to see and predict what could become of Slack, Salesforce, and the collaboration space in general. So I really appreciate it, Matthew. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And thank you so much, everyone, for watching this episode of Today in Tech. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell icon in the corner so you're notified every single time we post a new video. If you have any thoughts, comments, questions about the Slack and Salesforce deal, what do you think it means for the future of collaboration apps? Is your enterprise now going to be more likely to use either Salesforce or Slack or both rather than Microsoft? Let us know in the comments. I'm really interested to hear your thoughts. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.